Hey guys, welcome back to the Unfiltered Gamer Kickstarter board game review. Today's game with the tabletop is called Ascended Kings. Ascended Kings is for 2 to 4 players. It is for ages 13, 14 and up, as well as about 20 minutes per player, and it's made by Incarnate Games. In Ascended Kings, you play as a king, and you start off as an Ascended King, and if you die, you become a Revenant, and you get 2 different miniatures. You also are going to be on a board, which is going to be slowly collapsing with fire, and you're trying to obtain bloodstones because the bloodstones have run out of power, and you need to collect them all and then make them charged again so that you can save the realm. And it's kind of like this there can be only one style thing where the person who survives and takes all the bloodstones for themselves becomes immortal. So the kings are trying to fight it out, and each of you and your opponents are all trying to get the bloodstones, and whenever you kill one of them, you get their bloodstone. So at the end of the game, you can acquire 4 bloodstones, and then you get the Omega Stone, then you're the winner. Alright, let me show you the game. Okay, so this is the board setup for Ascended Kings. Now, every single player is going to get a King's Mat, which is going to include their Revenant as well as their Ascended sides. It starts off as the Ascended side. They're going to get 4 die, including a Bloodstone, 5 cards to start the game with, and a level tracker. Now, also, you're going to be able to choose gems. And then you got a couple different kinds of gems in the game, which are represented here on this quick reference sheet here. You have Aria, Aegis, Pyre, and Ilum. Now, core represents all 3 of these other types of gems. Now, you're going to select any of the core gems that you want to begin with, and you can look at your hand to decide which gems you want. So if you have a good deal of a certain color, maybe you want more green, right? You can then select a certain amount. So maybe you got 1 red and 2 green is what you want to pick. And they're going to go in here. For each of your level areas, is going to indicate how many gems you can hold. So 9 here, 12, and then 15 as you level up. You also have other spots here on the board which you can also put your gems in as well. You're also then going to get your kings depending on your color. So this guy here is going to have black, and he's going to start with the king that represents the character here, which is going to be your Revenant character, or sorry, your Ascended character. And if he dies, you're going to get your Revenant character. So they set this guy aside. And everybody else is going to do the same thing. Now you're also going to be included with these die here, which is your percentage die, a randomizer die, and the king die, which represents if you serve the last surviving king, you're going to get this as well as it gets passed around. And then finally, this is the Omega Stone, which is if you acquire all 4 of the Bloodstones here from killing different people, you're going to have this unlock and try and get this with the Bloodstones, and you can win the game with it. And that is pretty much what is included with the game. So to begin the game, you're going to set your king on the board, and there's little specific places where you're going to put your king, as well as putting an Ilum up on the board somewhere randomly using the percentage dice that they're included in the game. After you've done that, every single player's got their king down, as well as the Ilum down, that can't be placed on any person, at least for the first one. Then you're going to choose a player to start, and they're going to get this handy-dandy reference card, which will tell you what you can do. Now, there's 2 different tracks you can follow on the board, on the game. It's latent as well as the active. Either one of those you can do. You can't do both, though. Before you do that, you're going to generate focus. And generating focus, I'll explain in a little more detail, but you do that first, and then you choose a track. On the latent track, you're going to be doing stuff like drawing cards and gaining gems and that kind of thing, whereas on the active track, you're going to be using your gems and modifiers and stuff to either attack opponents or move and that kind of stuff. So you can choose either track. So you're basically gaining stuff or removing stuff on the board, depending on what you choose. After you do that, every single player is going to get to do the same thing as well, and then the round is going to move based off of this handy-dandy round tracker here. And it'll start at 20, as well as with this little fire symbol, which will indicate anybody next to it will be burned. And after that, it will just be moved down to 19, as well as this will also move in the direction indicated. And this, the next thing, will pop up for the next round, which will be placed on the board somewhere at random. Alright, well let me go ahead and show you what the game starts off with a couple turns. Okay, so the game's ready to begin. Now all you need to do is place your characters on the starting points. And there's little starting points that are indicated here, and you can see them in 22, 27, 77, 72. You just place your characters there. This is separate as far as possible. Next thing you're going to do is make sure you have these, as well as putting the first Ilum on the board by simply rolling these guys here. Bam. This is 53, so you're going to place 53. Here it is right there. After you've done that, then the first turn is going to begin. We're going to have this guy take his turns, basically. And just as an example, this character is going to pretend to take turns, but we're just going to use him to take all the turns so you can see it fully, because it's a pretty big game. Alright, so first thing he's going to do is we're going to use this little handy-dandy chart here to explain the turns of the game. Bam, just like that. And there's the latent and the active, right? So we're going to do the latent because we need to gain stuff. Right now we don't have enough stuff to move or anything like that, so we're going to gain stuff. And what he can do after he does his focus regeneration is he would check to see if any of these are full. If they're full, he would get to generate one of any of these colors here, blue, red, white, or green. and they would go up here. But since there's nothing there, we just skip that part and we draw a card. Now we're going to draw a card based on the type of king we have. So we have right now a Ascendant King, so we'll draw a card. After we've gone ahead and done that, then we're going to roll our focus die. Now we roll focus die based on our level plus 1. So this is 1 plus 1, which is 2. We roll these die here. We have a 1 and a 4. Then we're going to look at our little quick reference chart for all the different types of gems. Now, if we had rolled a 7 or higher with both of these gems, with both of these die, we could have chosen to get an Ilum and just placing it right there. But because we didn't, we have a 1 and a 4, so we'll look at this little chart. The first thing we get is an Aria, so we put that on our little board here. And the next thing we get is a 4, which is a Pyre, so we put this on our board as well. Now we've finished that little phase, we go on to the attaching the focus gems, which we did, as well as now we can transmute. So if we want, we can move our gems from here to this area over here. Now in order to do that though, you need to have 3. So with just 2 you can't actually transmute because it won't do anything. So we're just going to leave those here. But if we did have that, we could do that. Then we're going to try and inscribe. Now when we inscribe, we have to inscribe a card with that symbol. And here are the different types of cards we have. And luckily we have a couple cards with our symbol on it, which is really nice. And what it does is it lets us play the card for free on our active. So we can do that only if we have a card that's the same type. So this one over here is called Disillusion and has our type of symbol. It says take up to 2 core gems from any adjacent opponent and place them in your gemstone pool. So we can do this as a free, basically a free action on our turn during our active phase. We're just going to place that right there. However, if it was any other different type of symbol, we wouldn't be able to use it, and if we revealed it, it would have to go back. You'd have to discard it, even if it were go back into our hand. All right, so that is basically the end of his turn. He's done all the actions. The next player is going to do all of their actions, just like he would. He'd probably do latent as well. And then we're going to move on to the round. And the round, like I said, we do the burning. Anybody in these spaces here, it burn. And then we move on to 19 and move this. And so the next time, for this next round, the end of this round here, we're going to actually put a red pyre somewhere on the board using these little percentage die here. Okay, so we'll move that there. And once again, we continue. Now, if it was more than a 2-player game, we would actually reverse the order in which he would go last instead. Because it's just a 2-player game, he just gets to go again. And once again, he can go latent or he can do an active. Well, let me show you what an active turn does, I suppose. Now, on an active turn, you simply roll for an island placement, which is just a percentage die. Here we go, 84. And then we take a blue one and we put it on 84, wherever that is, right here. Okay. And then we do what's expend focus gems. So we can choose to do any of these different things. Now leveling up, if we had Ilum, we could actually discard a certain amount to level up, 2 for level 2 and 3 for level 3. Or as well, we can perform basic actions. Now if we have white, we can expend a white to move our character. If we have red, we can use that to try and attack an adjacent character. And if we have green, we can use that as defense. So right now, we can only pretty much do this. We would just do that and move our single guy there. Then we can also obtain cards for one Ilum per, as well as activate our inscription, which we can't do because we're not next to our player, next to the player. However, we could also spend any of these cards to gain certain things, such as the white gems up here, as well as the red and white up here. You can only choose to do one of these two. Now, if you want to actually activate this card here without it being in the inscription area, we would have to actually spend the 3 Ilum from our board here in order to do that. This is 3, this is 2, 3, 2, and 3. So they're not free unless they're face down like that. So if I wanted to play a card, I could simply play this card here. And you can play any cards as many as you want during your turn to gain the bonuses here. And you could actually obtain them just like that. Then the next player would take his turn. And then it would come back and we would go back down to 18. And we would do our little roll for the red. And it would go somewhere on the board. This is 21. So we go right there. And rinse and repeat, and we would keep going back and forth. Another important thing to note is that at the end of every round, not only are you going to be placing certain things on the board based on what the little turn chart says, but you're also going to be trying to see if the fire goes up or moves up, and it will be moving up. And it's going to be a 1 through 4 die here, and whatever it rolls on is the side in which the fire is going to move up to make the board even smaller. Also to note that whenever you've filled up your transmute, you've actually filled up all of the, let me see here what it's called, transmuting. Whenever you filled up the same colors, it's actually going to give you a bonus ability. Some of them let you attack a certain direction, like attack sideways as well as moving sideways, and other of them are going to give you a certain amount of defense. There's a whole bunch of different stuff it does, especially the Ilum that gives you a bunch of great defense bonuses. But there's a couple of things to know about that kind of stuff. Okay, so we've progressed through the game so I can show you an active encounter that involves attacking, alright? So the first thing we do is for the active stage, is like I said, like we did before, we get to roll for the island placement. We just placed it right there. And then we're going to start expending the gems. So we're going to take these ones right here. We need 2. I'm playing as this character here, which is the black character, and we're going to move 2. 1, 2. Now as we move over different pieces on the board, we can collect them and put them on our space right there in this little track here. And then we can, if we're next to somebody, if we're adjacent to somebody, we can attack them. Now remember, if you've got the full-on reds here in the transmute area, or transmute area, we can actually attack from an angle. But if you don't have that, you have to attack directly adjacent. So either way, it didn't matter, but we moved up anyway, right? Now we're going to do attacking. And attacking is very simple. You expend all of these different pirate gems to do damage. So I'm going to expend 4 here to do 4 damage to this guy. Now he only has 4 health. Once he goes past this track, which so this guy here has 3, 1, 2, 3. If he was level 2, he would have 1, 2, 3, 4. But he over here has 4 health. So he's going to take 4 damage unless he can prevent it. So he can prevent 1 right here. And he can actually use cards in his hand as well. And he happens to have 1, 2, and 3 more, which will prevent that damage. So he's going to discard these cards here. And he gains 3 more, which he will then use to deflect the other pyro from the other guy. So that would make 0 damage, right? However, this guy's also got a sneaky trick up his sleeve, and he's got 4 more reds that he can discard to do 4 more damage to this guy. Now, he has no more green left. He can't defend himself with any more green, so that means he's going to take these black gems here, and he's going to place them on his little board here, and once he fills up with 4, he explodes. And when that happens, he loses everything on his board, except for some certain things, which I'll go through right now. So he takes all this stuff, and he loses all this. He drops his bloodstone, and he gets removed from the map. These guys go in here. And these things here all get put to the side, and his board gets flipped over. And now he is a revenant. So he gets back to the same level he was at, and he gets to keep this, and these all go in here, just like that. And he also gets to select 3 of any type of gem. And as you see, the revenant has a different what do you call it? The different transmutes here. So he actually is going to want red so he can get all 3 of these things, which is kind of nice. Just like that. So he's got all this stuff. He also will discard any ascended cards he has and pick up revenant cards instead. As well as at the end of the turn, when this guy is done doing whatever he wants to do, maybe he's going to move an extra space and pick up this bloodstone here. Once the turn is over, he's going to come back onto the board with his new character, which is now this guy over here. And he simply does it by rolling the die here. And he got 56. So he'll move to 56. Just like that. If he were to spawn outside of the board in some aspect, maybe if he was going to be over here, if that was possible, he would actually move to the closest space, just as an example. But, yep, he spawns right here, right next to him. And he's ready to go. Another note, too, is that you have this little ascended die here, which represents the last king who's left standing in a 2-player game. Since we had blue die, black would actually get this as a bonus die until he gets killed. Also, we're going to give a bloodstone to our newly revenanted blue player. And like I said before, once all 4 bloodstones have been acquired by somebody, the game is going to turn into this rugby-like a thing where you're going to actually spawn this here on one of the corners. And you're going to have to get to that spot with the Omega in order to win the game. And whoever gets there with all 4 bloodstones wins. Also, if you die with any amount of bloodstones on you, all those bloodstones drop, just like we saw in the previous example. So it doesn't matter if there's 1, 2, 3, they all drop. And you go back and forth trying to acquire that last stone. Once you get there, you win the game. And that's how you play Ascended Kings. Alright, let me tell you what I think about it. So Ascended Kings is a really, really cool little game here. Now, as you can see, this is a prototype copy here, but it is amazing. This game is ready to go as far as how it looks. It is beautiful. The miniatures are great. They just need to be a different type of resin. And all of the components are wonderful. The cards are wonderful. You could tell this was a project of love. The moment I saw it, I knew that this game had somebody put a lot of time and a lot of effort into this game. Also, there's a couple other little things I forgot to mention, or kind of like, don't want to spoil everything for you, but like I said, when you transmute all your gems onto different spots, you're going to gain bonuses. And specifically for that island, you're going to get to do special abilities by spending your gems. Like, for instance, one of them can push a firewall back, or the white one can make you teleport to any other island on the board by spending it. You can use the greens to heal. Couple things, right? And it makes the game way, way different. Also, to mention, the game is better with 4 players. It's definitely better with 4 players because there's a lot more going on, and it's less of a back and forth tug of war, which is kind of what the game becomes in a 2-player game. In fact, the main disappointment in the game for me, in a 2-player variant, was the fact that if I killed my opponent 3 times in a row or whatever, and I had my 4, and I'm going to get back down to, you know, collect my winnings, get my Omega Crest, and win the game, my opponent can kill me, take all the things, and if I get a bad roll, I can get stuck on the opposite side of the board, and he'll win the game, even after killing him the entire game and winning, right? So there is that. Now, like I said, that for me it was sucky because I was winning the entire game, and then suddenly, oh no! But I think on the opposite end of that as well, you could say that it gives the players who are in last, or who doesn't, there's no real last place. You have to be consistently winning throughout the game in order to make sure you take the victory. And it gives everybody who's fallen behind a chance to catch up. Also, this cool little ascended die here is really cool because it gives you an extra die if you're the last king alive. However, the Revenants are super strong. Their cards are amazing. And the board, you can go from having only 2 transmutable space areas to having all 3 when you die. Also, you can discard this die to remove all of your dire wounds, which is really cool as well. I love the fact that this game works into 2 different categories of the active and the active and the, what is it called? The latent phase. You can choose either one of those. So do I want to act this turn, or do I want to save up and collect certain things? And when you attack somebody, it's all about the cards in your hand, because everybody knows what you got on the field. They know whether they can survive your field. It's what you got in your hand that's a real big mystery. And there's a bunch of really cool cards that do a whole bunch of different things. And whether or not you want to transmute them is another thing. And there's so many different cards that you can transmute to either attack or defend yourself, moving across the board, collecting certain things. Do you want to level up? Do you want to save up just enough to destroy your opponents? And the game really, really shines when you do everything, when you have a wide variety of options that you want to partake in throughout the entire game, which makes it really, really fun. In a 4-player game, this game shines brightly and is very, very fun. Everybody's going to have one of those bloodstones, and you're going to try and kill everybody and collect it. You're holding on to it. It's almost like a capture the flag until the very end where that Omega drops, and then it's a big race to the finish. A lot of fun. 2-player variant is not for me. I don't like it because I don't like feeling like I'm winning and then suddenly I've just lost the entire game. And I'm like, oh, I lost a bit. But I can see how both sides could appreciate that, especially the person who just stomps you right at the very end and skeeps away with a little victory. Either way, though, I really, really liked Ascended Kings. I thought it was beautifully produced, and these miniatures are wonderful. I'm going to show you little miniatures as we go along right now. These are the miniatures. They are great. Oh, they're so... You can just see all the details and stuff. This makes come on a serious run for their money. But anyway, that is Ascended Kings, and I give it my approval. I think it's a really fun game, provided you don't mind the fact that you could be winning throughout the entire game, and then you're done for. So there is that little aspect. But otherwise, a good game. Check it out. Alright guys, thanks for watching another Unfiltered Gamer Kickstarter board game review. If you liked Ascended Kings, go ahead and check it out on the description below. It's ready on Kickstarter, and you should go ahead and look at it because it is gorgeous. Also, go ahead and check out the rest of our YouTube stuff here, like, share, comment, all that good stuff, as well as our website, unfilteredgamer.com. Tons of blog posts, giveaways, and all that. There's tons of them on there. Just go look. As well as our friendship sites, our happy sites, everythingboardgames.com, The Giveaway Geek, and Devitos Gaming. That tons of stuff, even more stuff than I do. I do the YouTube stuff. That's what I do. So that's it, guys. Thank you for watching this video, and I look forward to seeing you next time.